Getting better every day means that it's incumbent on each and every one of us to be constantly pushing ourselves. So when Rick had this vision of creating a learning and development center for Red Ventures, we knew that it had to be a place that would enable each of us to learn more, to learn faster, to gain more knowledge, to gain more perspective. So when we came up with the name The Learning Curve, or The Curve for short, not only is it a nod to this amazing curved architectural beauty of a building, but it is in fact a direct invitation that when you are here in the Curve, we want this to be a place where you push yourself to increase the speed and trajectory and arc of your own learning curve. The centerpiece of the Curve is the arena. The arena is a 300-seat auditorium. It has portable walls and portable screens, so we can turn it from a 300-seat amphitheater style to a place that will seat over 1,000 RVers. Think about the impact that could have on our Red Talks program, bringing us external perspective and challenging the way we think and the way we view the world. We can host our own conferences, such as our MSA conference for our top sales performers, or our She Is Summit for the women of Red Ventures. Or with the walls down, we can use the amphitheater, the auditorium part of the arena, for our business reviews, which really are sort of at the backbone of Red Ventures learning culture. It's the best learning environment we've got. Of course, no great learning center can be a learning center without classrooms. We have 7 classrooms in the Curve. The 3 larger classrooms are for what we might think of as traditional learning environments. In the 4 small rooms, those are really intended to be breakout rooms for the larger classrooms. They might be doing role plays of a coaching exercise or a case study. They can record their practice presentation, then turn around and the flip of another button, watch it back and critique it. And that is how learning happens. We've named each of our rooms after someone who is a muse for us. We wanted these rooms to inspire learning, to motivate learning, and to provide the kind of environment where people feel excited about being there. So we knew nobody better to help us with that than our own RV talent. So we've tapped into some of our best designers and we've said, here's the inspiration for this room. Make it come to life. And it's unbelievable what they have done.
We started out by kind of going through his music and trying to find a correlation between that and the artwork we wanted to produce. And so if you see behind the guitars section, that graphic is the sound wave of Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix. And then we used that shape and that pattern across the room. My favorite part of the room are the hand-painted guitars hanging on the wall and then the strings going up into the ceiling.
I think it adds an abstract feel to it as well. Like, they're not bound to the guitars.
The concept for our room was more so kind of putting Leonardo on an exhibition, like you're in an art gallery. The left side is kind of more so his art pieces, famous paintings he's done, and then the right side is more of his inventions, because I think that's more so what our quote gears towards. You know, I feel like when people get in the room, I feel like they're gonna have to talk a little quiet, like giving that whole room just like you stepped out of RV and you're into an art gallery.
We thought, wouldn't it be cool if when you walked into this room, you kind of felt like you were taken back to that time period and kind of got that feeling of being in his office or lab.
The other cool thing that we did in the room is we have a ton of different clocks all over that we're going to be kind of tweaking the motors in them. Some will be normal time, some will be like fast or reverse. Kind of ties into the whole theory of relativity in a weird abstract way.
When I think about Nelson Mandela, I think about progress, I think about resistance, I think about moving forward, and I think about change. The primary visuals of the room are 2 photos of Nelson Mandela. One that is kind of directly looking at you, and the other one is more of a forward-looking, kind of visionary type of photo. A few other elements are the color orange, which represents encouragement and progress, as well as arrows that are kind of moving in both directions to represent progress as well as resistance that he faced in a lot of his challenges.
I chose a portrait of a classroom from the Swat Valley, which is where Malala is from. As a father, the education of my children is the most important thing to me, so featuring a picture of what Malala sacrificed, what that stands for is the most important, my favorite part of the room.
I wanted to do the Maya Angelou room because I love her poetry and her work. And when I think about her, I think of her famous book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. The quote we have comes from her poem, Our Grandmothers. So we thought it worked well with the birds, thinking of like a mother bird pushing a bird out of its nest to take flight.
Yeah, so if you actually look up at the birds, there are, I think, 158 Golden Door scholars, and we've written their names on each one of the birds.
So I wanted to kind of personify the storm as a person. So it will show the ship and the storm and the waves, a woman coming out of the storm. So it's kind of the storm within as well as external. I hope people get inspired by it. It's all about learning and overcoming obstacles, and I think that's something that is a big part of the culture here at Red Ventures.
When we first started out this process, we kind of talked through, what communicated the quirky, weird Dr. Seussian style, but in a non-preschool way.
The way we approached that was we thought, what if Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel, had a library, which I'm sure he did, and what would that working library look like? My hope is that it's a place that sparks some really cool ideas. Well, ideally, this is a space where you're learning and growing as a person in addition to growing the company.
So every individual at Red Ventures has access to the library, which will be open all the time. The thing that makes the library really cool is the collection of books that you will find there. We have taken a lot of time to curate several collections of books specifically for Red Ventures employees. Our collections, of course, will be refreshed constantly and added to, and we invite all Red Ventures employees to tell us what you need in this library. You want to learn more about negotiation or presentation skills or coaching or leadership or technical design or innovation. See what your peers and friends and colleagues have recommended and found useful. That's how to kickstart your own learning to increase your own learning curve. We will now, instead of having to go off-site, be able to have our leadership programs right here in the retreat. We actually, when we first met with Bernie about needing this kind of space in the curve, we said, you know what we really want? We want it to look and feel like Rick and Brenda Elias's living room. And we knew that because Rick, in fact, has had a lot of senior leadership team off-sites in his living room. And the reason it's such a great place for off-site meetings is because it is quiet, it's peaceful, it's open. We sit around on couches and soft seating without tables and laptops as barriers between us, and we're able to have deeper conversation, make deeper connection. So Brenda Elias has personally designed every bit of this interior space at the retreat. And it will enable us to do the kind of reflection and thinking and connection that we so importantly need to do with each other.